everybody, how's it going? It is Fabrizio Aiello. Welcome to What is Fabrizio Inking? And today I'm inking this. Now I got a huge delay. Hold on. Sorry, 1 second. All right, I don't want to keep you in complete dead air while I figure this out. While I get this working, I'll check out the chat. Hey, Dr. Mask, how's it going? Yeah, it has been. It's been a while. Good to see you. Ordered my H.H.H. sweatshirt last night. Oh, that is so awesome. Thank you so much. That makes me so happy. Kevin G, bourbon poured. Time to spend time with H.H.H. Awesome. I wish I had bourbon. I still have my cold coffee. Blue Teddy Narrations, how's it going? Alright, so I gotta get this video fixed, sorry. Once I get a really bad delay in the video, it's really hard, so I gotta make sure I fix this. I'll get some background music going at least. Whoa. You guys are getting the hot dog part of you're getting the what's in the hot dog part of the the stream. All right, one more and then we'll get going here. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. I don't know why that keeps happening, but once I get that delay, it's impossible to get rid of it during the stream. Dr. Mask, well, now I can't ask what is Fabrizio drinking. I know. It's in a blank mug, too. I keep on meaning to get out my Horace H.H.Hoover mug, but I keep forgetting. I'm going to make myself as small as possible. So this is where I left off. It's pretty close to being done, honestly. I think I did 3 whole streams just on this, and I didn't do any outside the stream. So I should be able to finish this up. And then I do have that Hawkman that I had started a while back. I haven't done any work on that, so I might work on that. Unless something else happens. Okay, that jazz is a little too jazzy. Alrighty. So after doing this, actually, I should I should mention who this is. This is Horace H. Hoover from the comic book from Alterna Comics. Go to alternacomics.com. Issues 1 and 2 are available currently. I write, draw, ink, color, letter, and everything else with the comic book. It's like a 1920s occult mystery, supernatural kind of comic book. It's a little funny, a little weird, a little creepy, a little cool. Lots of books. If you like books or like looking at drawings of books, then you can't go wrong. Yeah, I kind of left the easy parts for this, thankfully. Um, so should definitely be able to finish this up and jump to something else. The people who like to look at book market. It's a very small market, but I think I have that market cornered. Maybe not, but at least we're niche of a niche, and trying to think of a comic book that has a lot of books. I know Red Koi had a big library, which is pretty cool. But outside of that, I don't know. I'm kind of straining my brain on that. It could be that books are not fun to draw, and that other artists were far smarter than me and realized that they're like, I don't want to draw 1,000 books. What are you, crazy? So maybe that's why there's not a lot of comics with books. It's like the Orson Welles. Basically, he broke all the rules, and they said, well, what would give you the confidence to break all of these rules that have been set up until that point in film? And he's like, pure ignorance. He's like, I didn't know enough about the rules to know that I was breaking them. I always thought that was pretty cool. Batman 66 comic had a couple of bookworm issues. I don't know that. I will definitely check it out. Yeah, I definitely don't think of Batman whenever I think of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be doing a lot of real small details. Hopefully you can see this. Yeah, I think so. Really fine details to make the clothing kind of soft, basically. And to differentiate the textures between his jacket and the trees and the weird voodoo looking guy. So these little things in and of themselves might not look like they're a lot, but once you step back and you have all kinds of different textures throughout, it adds a lot. Now, admittedly, I probably wouldn't do this kind of detail in the comic book. Then it would take me probably forever to finish an issue. But for a pinup or something like that, it's a lot of fun to be able to kind of take your time to do those real small details that you don't get a chance to. Hey, Metatron's Cube, how's it going? Thanks. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this so far, finishing up today. Tom Tuttle brings the funny. How's it going? I haven't seen you around. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Kevin G, with your interest in jazz, have you listened to the Grateful Dead? They are jazz fusion of sorts. I haven't. I know people that love the Grateful Dead, but I'll be honest, I never really listened to them. And it's not because I heard something and was kind of put off. It's just I never got around to it. Now that sounds crazy. Yang Zhen Zhao, how's it going? I haven't had a chance to watch your entire interview with Rob from Blood Realm, but I'm looking forward to it. I just caught the beginning of it, then I had to jump off for some work stuff. Metatron's cute. My buddy tricked me into listening to The Dead. Yeah, my brother really likes them, or at least has mentioned them to me, where I thought I might like them, but I guess I haven't gotten around to it. I don't know about anybody else, but I have a tendency to do like a real deep dive into a genre for a long time, and then kind of you get used to that genre and you go in search for something that's very different. And that's kind of how I got into jazz. I was into obviously rock and metal and hardcore, and each time you need something different to listen to. I got really into bluegrass, folk for a bit. Kevin G. The Dead are an Aquifer taste, but known for the 20-minute improv live solos. That would be cool. I mean, I definitely appreciate that. Now, I will admit the jazz that I'm playing is free jazz. That it's like Google's, free audio library. So this isn't something I would probably listen to outside of this. I would say, my favorite jazz. Let's see here. And it's also not even just like the my favorite jazz musicians, but also my favorite jazz time period. So I like, I love Miles Davis, right? But later Miles Davis, I'm not too keen on. I love Bill Evans, but his later stuff, again, I'm just not too keen on. Same with Coltrane. You can go down the line. Once we get out of the 60s, things get a little dicey. I like, trios or quartets. I like to keep it pretty simple and just old. So like Wes Montgomery, Bill Evans, Chet Baker, Jerry Mulligan, Art Blakey, etc., etc. But yeah, once you get into like the 70s, jazz gets a little too, I don't know. It definitely is it's a different kind of style, and I've rarely listened to jazz past like 1965. Unless it's like a throwback style kind of thing. Worth every penny. Epidemic Sound has a lot of good royalty-free music. I will check that out. Somebody else was recommending some royalty-free music. What a jazz snob. Spicer McLeroy. Everyone knows Kenny G is the top. Kenny G is the top G, I think, right? Isn't that how that works? Yeah, I don't want to be a jazz snob. I just, there are some things I like, and everybody likes what they like. And then there are times where you're just in the mood for something that it goes completely against everything you listen to. Like that song comes on, you're like, you know what, this is a terrible song, but I still love it. Everybody has those too. So I was in Erie this past week. Oh, Dr. Mask. The only jazz I own is Penn and Teller's Music to Look at Boxes by. I don't know that, Joe. I mean, I love Penn and Teller. It's been a long time since I've watched them. I mean, I loved the show BS back in the day. But I haven't seen them do anything in a long time. It could just be me that I haven't seen them pop up. Yeah, but I was in Erie. I went to go see Nate Bargatze, if anybody's familiar with him. And he was at the Warner Theater, which is, I gotta say, an absolutely beautiful theater. It's Art Deco, beautiful condition. Really one of the nicest theaters I've ever been in. Blue Teddy, my taste is almost exclusively terrible stuff that I love anyways. Exactly. I mean, and there's no reason to, people always called it a guilty pleasure. I never really considered things guilty pleasures. If you like it, you like it. When I was young, a long time ago, we used to listen to the Miami Vice soundtrack. And there were some really great songs on there that I was telling somebody about. And they're like, I wish I could admit I like bad music. I'm like, what do you think's going to happen? Like, if you say you like something that's quote-unquote uncool. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Is it like the music police are going to come and take you away? If you like it, you like it. Penn plays bass. Him and pianists would play before the show, and they had box. Oh, you know what? I do remember Penn talking about playing bass, now that you mention it. But I've never actually listened to it. Man, I haven't thought about that in a long time. Yeah, I remember him talking about learning bass years ago. Any live shows from any genre of music you remember fondly? Yeah, definitely. I know I probably talk a lot about this, but I was really into hardcore music. So I went to a lot of hardcore shows. Very, very violent, heavy music. That was a long time ago, though. Very small venues. Those were fun. They were really fun. My first concert, I'll start with that, was Pantera in Skid Row when I was 14, something like that. That was an experience for sure. I think everybody remembers their first show. I think that's kind of hard to not remember. But that was a lot of fun. It was pretty intense. Speaking of jazz, Jeff Goldblum has a jazz band, and I went to see him play, and he was really good. Really good. It's the Jeff Goldblum and the, I always get the name wrong, Mildred Snitzer Orchestra, something like that. He was great. What else? Yeah, I mean, I've seen some folk. I've seen some bluegrass, all sorts of stuff. Nirvana 93. Wow, that's a big one, huh? Man. I mean, the mid-90s for music was pretty incredible. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see a lot of the big name acts, so I never got to see Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, anything like that. I saw, I'm going to more like punk shows, hardcore shows, things like that. Fugazi, Clutch. I saw The Cure. Cure was great. I mean, they were good. The Cure was good. I don't know why I said great. They were good. 9 Inch Nails. I saw 9 Inch Nails back in the day. I saw Prince twice, and that was incredible. Prince, like, I'm a huge Prince fan, so I wish I would have seen him more than twice, but I'm glad I did see him at least that much. Brian Setzer, no. Nope. Never saw him. Metatron's Cube. My first show was Kiss in 1983. Oh my God, I am jealous. That hurts. Whew. I didn't see Kiss until much later, unfortunately. Yeah, man, I would have given anything to see them, like, in the 80s proper. On any tour. Hot in the Shade, Revenge. I guess Revenge was probably 90s. Asylum, Animalize. Any time during the 80s would have been great. While in the Navy, Huey Lewis and the News did a free show. And I thought it'd be dumb. That sounds fun. Yeah, it's surprising. Sometimes you just kind of dismiss some musical acts because, yeah, like, it's going to be cheesy, or I don't like the music, so I'm not going to have a good time. But I've definitely been surprised. A friend of mine loves John Schneider. And I'll be honest, it really wasn't my kind of music. I don't mind, like, Johnny Cash country, but John Schneider stuff really isn't something I would listen to. But it was a blast, you know? Like, if you see a band and they're just really good at what they do, you can't help but have fun and really appreciate it. The only punk band I saw was The Crucified, a Christian punk band. Yeah, I don't know them. Sinatra. Wow. Jeez. I think you won this conversation. I can't even imagine that. So I think I'm good on his hose. I might come back and tweak it a little bit with a little bit of white, but I think for the most part that works. You know how the singer keeps a water bottle on a stool during concerts? Yeah. Was that alcohol? That is perfect. Man, I love that. That's so great. Yeah, let's see what other bands I saw that people might know. I saw the Ramones a long time ago. I saw the Beastie Boys. Dr. Mask. I did see Pat Benatar when she was in her jazz phase. Disappointing to fans that wanted to... Huh. That sounds like it would have been awesome. But yeah, I guess I'm not familiar with her jazz stuff, so that's unfortunate, though. Yeah, you go to a show, you definitely want them to play certain stuff. I mean, no matter how good, quote-unquote, the new album is that somebody puts out, you want to hear some classics for sure. I went to some raves at the Packard plant in Detroit. That was fun. All the concerts I have seen only went because people dragged me along. I've never been to a rave. Wow, that sounds... I mean, was Blade there? Or did he just get there after? Maybe he left or something? I feel like every rave is set... There's a Blade character, or it's set in a rave or something. But yeah, I only know raves from movies. So if they are like the Blade movies, then I have an idea. But it always seemed wild to me. Do you know Lee Aaron? She was a metal singer that went to jazz. I don't. I do not. There is the... Man, I'm blanking on the name. Jeez. The Alex Skolnick Trio. So Alex Skolnick was metal guitarist, and I'm blanking on the band. Not Armored Saint. Darn it. I can't think of the name of the band. And he has a jazz trio, which is really good. They even do some sort of jazz covers of AC/DC and Kiss, which are pretty cool. Exact opposite. Okay, well that's good. So I'm really working on the really fiddly details, because at this point all the shapes are down, the balance of black and whites are down. I mean, if I notice something, I'll fix it, but it's really just a really fine detail and texture stuff that I'm working on now. Which, I mean, knock on wood, usually at this point you're not going to mess up the drawing for the most part, since you have all that other stuff done. So even if you mess up a little bit, probably won't even notice, because it's a tiny percentage of the drawing. If 80% of the drawing is done, and you kind of mess up a line or two, that's 0.0001% of the drawing. So generally won't affect the overall look and feel. Unless, okay, here's a caveat. Unless it's a really important part. So if it's somebody's face, if I went in and tried to work on his face, for example, and I mess up a facial expression, that could be catastrophic. But outside of that, if we're talking background elements, textures, things like that, pretty safe at this point. At least I don't think I was a Return into a Vampire. As of yet. Love Armored Saint. Got to see them live. Oh, wow, that's cool. Yeah, music, it's it's really like part of my creative process. I know a lot of people, it's the same thing, to be honest. So I shouldn't. It's not that this is a unique thing, but some people more than others is my guess. You know, I'm listening to certain music when I'm writing, and that could be essentially just to kind of set the mood or the atmosphere, or like the lyrics could be really evocative, and that could sort of trigger some visual image that gets turned into a story. I will tease this a little bit. Issue 5, there's we'll call it a new location, to be a little coy about it. And that location is kind of based off of a lyric from a Soundgarden song. So you get these things that pop into your head, and then they grow. So like the seed of which could be from anything, but for me, music is really big. So this little church in the background, I don't want to use a ruler or anything, because I want to keep the kind of rustic feel. Like this is in the middle of the woods, so I think if I use a ruler, then it looks a little too straight, and then kind of loses some of the organic feel. So, are we going to the Black Hole Sun? No, it's a little it's a lesser known song for sure. A little back further than Super Unknown. And I figured this place would be sort of overgrown with vines and kind of like half falling apart. Yeah, I agreed. Music is a huge influence on me. It was my main escape as a teen. Rules are for amateurs. Well, you know. Typically, I mean, again, this doesn't really count for this particular drawing, but what I'll normally do is in the drawing I'll definitely use rulers, and then when I go to ink it, I have the pencils as guides, but I rarely ink with a ruler though. It always looks a little out of place for my stuff because the brush is so organic, and then to have like this perfectly straight line in there just always looks a little weird to me. I have to listen to my Soundgarden catalog. I mean, one of the best of all time, I really think. Dr. Mask, have you listened to David Lucarelli's podcast? I didn't even know he had a podcast, but it's a music review podcast, and there's a bunch of great albums on there I think you might like. They go through every Kiss album, which I thought was really cool. So I've been catching up on that. I can't remember the name, but he should have a link to it somewhere. How far along are you on the miniseries? So I'm on issue 4, on page, I think 12, penciling. Yeah, doing all of these live streams with these concept art, it's definitely taken up a bit of time away from the book, so I'm going to have to really jump back on the book. So I might be penciling and or inking pages from the book for these streams instead of the concept art, which may or may not be used anytime soon. Will you restart with a new number 1 or keep legacy numbers? So the mini-series really was meant to be just that, a mini-series. So I do want like a proper number 1 for the ongoing. I don't want to do like mini-series and then another mini-series and that. So it's this 5-issue mini-series, and then it's the ongoing, which will be like a proper number 1. Yeah. Rock album analyst. Yep, that's it. There are some times whenever you're inking and your brush is just keeping a point perfectly and it's like you don't want to let it go, so you want to take advantage of that, because it doesn't always happen. So if you get a really nice point going, you got to take advantage of it and do those really fine details that you might not get a chance to do. Wow, that's really close. Alrighty, so now I gotta step back a little bit. Alright, so there's a lot of just white space on the top of his forehead. And there's just a lot of the same value in his hair, so I really need to up the excitement with that. So I gotta bring some of these values down. That way the white pops and that gray, it just doesn't become one big gray mass, because that's the ultimate fear. You put detail, but it just turns into a gray nightmare. I actually learned something I never knew. Speaking of music, Quiet Riot covers for Mental Health and Condition Critical. So as a very young, not very, but as a young kid, those covers I was completely enamored by them. I would stare at them all day long. But to me, they looked like paintings. So that's one of the reasons I was just completely obsessed with them. Like, how could you do a painting that detailed? I'd go on and on and on. It was just, I couldn't get over it, because they didn't look like other painted covers. I'm like, well, maybe this person with an airbrush or whatever the case may be is so good that I just can't tell. Well, I found out fairly recently that it's a combination. So it's a photograph, and then the artist, and I can't think of his name offhand, basically went in with an airbrush after and then added things to it. And that just really, I don't know, kind of blew. I almost wish I didn't know that, because in my head, I'm like, these were the most amazing painted covers I'd ever seen. They are great, don't get me wrong, but I didn't even realize that they were part photo, part painting, and I don't know how much is what. I thought that was pretty amazing. So hopefully you might be able to see the difference by making this side of his hair a lot darker. It kind of rounds out the shape a little bit. So it starts light and then goes into like the darker colors. You know what? I am going to change this jazz. Let's see what else we got. Now it's different. It's another freebie. So I don't think I'll, I mean, I'll definitely finish this up today, but I won't get to the Hawkman drawing. Definitely next time. I didn't know there was singing on this thing. Oh, so many of the metal covers Maiden has. Oh man, yeah, Iron Maiden's another one. I would just stare at those covers. I mean, those were begging for like movies or stories to be written. They were so just looked like it was just a snapshot of a story. I don't know, and to be honest, I don't know if they ever really. It seems like they would have come out with something like a comic of Eddie or something. All of those different locations and. The new background song is like Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey. I think I know who he is. I definitely don't know the song. But I think I've seen his name pop up. I'm not great with current singers. But I am on Spotify, so sometimes things will pop up. Yeah, I always wondered if these free songs were just kind of light rip-offs of popular songs. It seems like something that they would do. They have a comic now based on the Legacy of the Beast video game. About a page from it, but never. Oh, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm glad, even if it takes them a long time to do that. I know that Gene Simmons been talking about The Elder for like a million years. At minimum, I think it should have been a comic or something. It's it's almost like you need closure, or like you need to know if whenever you were listening to the elder or whatever, if like the images in your head kind of line up with what they were thinking. Or not what they were thinking, what they were trying to convey. I think that's important. I definitely, with something like the elder, obviously they had a story in mind. It would have been cool to see some version of it, even if it was like an animated. I know that, did Gene Simmons say the Scooby-Doo little, that part where they're dreaming, quote unquote, is kind of like the elder, or supposed to be parts of it? I don't know. Don't quote me. Spoke too soon. They still seem somewhat ashamed of it. Yeah, I'll never understand that. Ever. But I've been waiting to hear Escape from the Island live since the elder came out. Yeah, no chance of that. I don't think so, at least. Man, there's some great songs on that album. So I don't like how I did his pants. I might have to white this out. Not a fan. It conflicts too much with his hand. It's kind of hard to tell where one starts and the other ends. I'm gonna have to figure that out later. I only got 5 minutes to finish it. What? Oy vey. Do you know Kevin Conrad, the anchor? Kevin Conrad. No, doesn't ring a bell. He inked Psycho Circus comic. Oh, that's cool. kind of playing fast and loose with this. Just because, with this guy at least, I want to keep it organic and don't want to make it stiff. Asymmetry is good, you know, keeping it loose is good. You get happy mistakes that way. I wasn't even sure entirely how to handle his hair until I started doing it. So sometimes that's the best way to go about it. Is just have like the beginning of an idea of what you want to do, and then just leave the rest for the page. At least for me. Seems to work. All right, 2 minutes. I'm gonna say it's not 100% done, but I'm not gonna do another stream with it. I'll just finish the last 10 minutes on offline, and then I'll do a sped up version, post it online. Probably with me talking about something. Something vaguely important or not important. You said we can grab this art on your site. Eventually, I will post it, or I'll I'm trying to think of the best way to do it. Yeah, so whenever this is done, maybe I will eBay. I'll have to see what works best, because I don't have an e-commerce store anymore. I got rid of it because I just wasn't using it. So, but I will post something on Twitter on the best way. I'll ask around to see what other people are using and what the best method for this is. Etsy, eBay, I don't know. All right, I think we are done. Just kind of try to get the whole thing in, but not quite. Alrighty, so we have our funky trees, our Sleepy Hollow trees. We have Horace, Slurp, Max. We have tiny overgrown church in the background, and a as of yet unnamed spooky voodoo guy with crazy hair and weird necklaces with teeth dangling from them. Oh man. I watch while I lurk, but everyone I look up, I'm just like, anyways, that's my way of saying it looks great. Thank you, Blue Teddy, I appreciate that. Looks great, thank you. Etsy is owned by, really? I did not know that. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure how to do that, but I'll post something on just a way to throw a couple pieces of artwork if people want to grab them. Cool, you know. Yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out. I appreciate it, especially if you started from scratch, because this is like 4 hours of inking, I think, total. So that's quite a bit. And I'll try to find better music next time. Anyway, everybody have a good evening, and if not, have a good Thanksgiving. And I'll be posting some more stuff kind of around the holidays when I can. Thanks again, everybody. Talk to you later.